Well, good evening. Hey, Camila, how are you?
I am great. Good evening.
Yes, just want to welcome everyone that's watching and those of you that catch it in the replay. You're in for an exciting time. This is someone, the Lord is so amazing. He orders your footsteps truly, and He allowed me to meet this beautiful lady. So we're going to get started. So introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about who you are.
Okay. So good evening again. My name is Camela Guyton. I'm an Austinite, born and raised in Austin. I have three beautiful, amazing children, Alan Guyton Jr., Addison, and Avery. I have been in education for over 21 years now, and that is as a former teacher, instructional coach, assistant principal, and now I currently work at Region 13, an education service center where we support districts. I also have a business, and it is called Academia Consulting Group, and it is also to serve districts, schools with their leadership teams, mentoring, any sort of I would say just any services that schools need and districts need in order to help them to be successful. And so that is also something I do as well. I recently launched my very first book, which is called Quiet Power: The Get Back is Grace: How I Led, Mothered, and Healed Through the Loudest Divorce in Town.
Wow. Yeah, and that's how I met her. For those of you who don't know, that I am a publisher, life coach, so many things like her, and the Lord led her to me, and we were able to get her baby. I call it her to birth her baby. So, how did this book transpire? Because a lot of people say, I want to write a book. Or, like for me, many years, I kept getting prophetic words. They said, people would say, oh, I see a book, or I see two books. And finally, I had to say, Lord, you, people keep talking about this. So, what are they talking about? So, how did yours happen?
Great question. So the interesting thing about my book is I was going through a divorce in 2020, and I started journaling as a way to help me heal through my divorce. That was one thing that I did, was journaling. And I was journaling at the time I was a principal. I was an assistant principal, and I would journal prior to the beginning of the school day, but then I would also journal when I would get home right before I went to bed. And in my journals, I would document scriptures, also prayers, but then also like what I was going through at that time. And so I didn't know at the time that God was preparing me to write a story, to write a book. And so fast forward to 2024, I stepped out on faith. And after being a principal, I decided that I would just take some time to be able to be more to more not to be more of a mother, but be more present, because
Mhm.
as a principal, there's a lot of time that you give to your staff, a lot of time you give to the community and students. And so there were many times that I will work really long hours. And so my little one, Avery, she will remind me on a daily basis that, Mom, you're working so much. Mom, when are you coming home? And so again, I stepped out on faith during that time to just reestablish and set some healthier work life balances for myself. And during that time, I was reflecting on the growth that I had made, just from filing for divorce in 2020 up until that point. And so I went back and I was reading my journals, and that's when God spoke to me about, help women heal. This story, I gave you this story, to be a testimony, to help turn your pain into purpose. And so
Mhm. Mhm.
I I listened to God, I was obedient, and I started, I put the book together, and I knew right away that I wanted the book to include personal stories, but then also prayers and scriptures and journal prompts, and also um seasons that carried me throughout that season of my divorce. Um, why is because that is what helped me during my time of healing. And I knew I also wanted to include a healing toolkit at the very end of the book because, again, the reason for writing the book is to help other women heal as they go through a divorce. Help women who have gone through a divorce, but they may still be carrying some of the angry or the bitterness that they may have in their heart for that previous spouse or whomever hurt them during that time. Or women who are getting ready to go into a season of divorce. And so I I knew that how I wanted the flow of the book to be. And so that is Quiet Power.
So what would you say was one of the main things that that walked you through that, helped you through it? Because there's so many emotions with divorce, happy, sad, angry, all of those things, regrets. So in quiet power, your quiet power, what was, if someone said, Camila, how did you do it? What would you tell them if you had to sum it up in a few words?
Okay, so how I did it was God. So the first thing in the book, the Get Back is Grace, part of the title. I surrendered. And I had to pray first. And I knew something was going on in my marriage. And I said, God, reveal it. Reveal whatever it is. And whatever it is, I know that you are going to protect me and my children along the way. And you're going to carry me through this season, carry us through this season so that I can become, healed, but also a better
Mhm.
woman. And so I would say God and just surrendering everything to Him and allowing Him to get you through this season. Through that, again, through scriptures and prayers, because it was times that I just felt lonely, that I couldn't talk to anybody else about my situation or specific things in my situation. I called on Him constantly. Um, and my family and my close friends. I have a very close village. There's a specific chapter that I write in my book about God sent the girls. And
Mhm.
um, I really, and I express this all the time about my gratitude and my love for my village because they have always been there for me. And um, even times where I didn't even know like what my next steps were, what to do, I knew I could go to them just to be able to vent. And they and not even expect anything in return from them, but they were there. They have always been there. And so I would say God. I would also say your close friends and your family.
Wow, that is so good. And something you said is so key is having a village, because there are times in life that we all will experience different things, losses, and don't know who to turn to. But of course, we turn to the Lord. But sometimes we need that human voice that can talk. And hearing that explanation reminds me of, there are times when we just need to vent. We don't need an opinion. We don't need you to say anything. That's one of the things that I talk about when I'm also a Christian counselor when someone's going through the grieving process. And when I'm teaching people how to understand people that grieve, sometimes there's not a solution. They're not looking for a solution. Sometimes just your presence, just that presence, sometimes a hug, but most of all, your presence and a listening ear. So that is, and I've met some of your village, and they're so amazing. And I need a village like that. But because I saw, I was blessed to be a part of. She just did her book launch, and it was phenomenal. I had a ball. It could have gone lasted longer. As she and I were talking earlier, but it lasted as long as God wanted it to. But it was a warm feeling. The love, the support, so much was the energy, as they say, in that particular room that night. It was, I saw the love. How did you keep from being bitter? Or were there times that you were doing, as you were walking through the process, there were times, and it's healthy, if there were times that you just wanted to scream or yell, especially with kids. how did you do that without them knowing that that's what you were doing, or did they know that's what you were having outbursts and things?
So, I the book is called Quiet Power, and so the way I held it together, one reason. Okay, so one thing, I was bitter in the beginning, and I think again, a lot of women become bitter and angry.
Hmm.
It's heartbreak, and
Yes.
you plan to be with this person, for forever. That's what your wedding vows
Hmm.
state. And as I prayed about it, and I prayed and I asked God, like, God, please just like clean my heart, and allow me not to be bitter, allow me not to be angry, allow me not to take this anger or bitterness that I have towards this person into um the person that I am. Don't allow this person to change my character, of who I am. And that was something that I had to continue to pray about and ask God. But I also knew um that my children were looking at me, and I knew that my children would need me, and also to see um as they go through situations in their future, how do I get through with this? And I never wanted my children to become angry or bitter, with their dad or with anyone, because people are going
Hmm.
to hurt you in life. They're going to hurt you. But I wanted to make sure that I was a model for them. And my children would ask me many times, like, why are you so nice? Like, why are you so nice to dad? Why? And why did, he's done this and I would have to remind them, let's go back to the word. Let's go back to the scripture. Let's go back to the scripture. And so we even started doing some Bible study.
Oh,
And
that's good.
I reached out to my pastor too, just about, and he would come in and pray with us and explain, just not having a bitter heart. And of course, with counseling, of course,
Hmm.
counseling also. I went to counseling, and my older two children went to counseling as well. And so it was just a lot of prayer, a lot of discipline, and I knew I had to for my children.
Wow. And I love the book because in the book you have songs.
Mm-hmm.
So for those that of you that are watching, and maybe she said you're walking through a divorce, or you've gone or contemplate, or someone, I highly recommend this book for you, because it's not just a book. She shares letters in the book to pastor, her children, her mother, but the songs, and especially to say, because I'm such a worshiper as well, because sometimes the Lord will speak to me through a song about something I'm going through,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that it's Him. And so I love it because you apply the word, like you said, the Lord was first, and you went to Him not to blame your ex, but to keep basically, creating you a clean heart, that scripture, and renew the right spirit, that I might have the right spirit to lead, because the book talks about leading and mothering and being an example, not only to your children, but to your community,
Mm-hmm.
because the Bible says that we are the living epistle read of all men. So those that are close to you, and maybe those not so close, that knew what you were going through, but you carried it with such dignity, such class, that people, I'm sure they were amazed at how you were carrying it. But you were only able to do that because you stayed in the presence of the Lord. You said you journal, and like I said, and in that book, I saw, there are prayers, there are scriptures, and there's places for you to write.
Mm-hmm.
That one thing you said that's so key is that you journal,
Mm-hmm.
that you were able, and I know a lot of people use journaling as a tool, things that you can't say, and some people call it the dump, that you're writing your thoughts. Each person has a certain way that they journal, but there's not a right or wrong way to do it. But getting it out of your heart, getting it out of your head onto the paper is just a different form of releasing. So going through that process, what did you learn from going to a therapist? Because as those as many of us as believers, you hear a little bit more about it now than you would have back in my day, especially if you're a person of color. You
Mm-hmm.
just didn't go tell people your problems, or lay on somebody's sofa, as they say. So, so what did you learn from therapy?
That's a good question. The first thing I learned was, and it wasn't my first time going to therapy. As I was going through my divorce, I went through therapy as a child when my parents divorced, but then I've done some premarital counseling, and so this was the first time that I actually had done some individual counseling. The first thing that I learned was I had to trust my counselor, but then also to be very honest and be very vulnerable with what I was going through. Because in order for you to heal, in order for you to become a better person, you got to be honest, even if it hurts, even if it hurts, and even if there may be things that you don't want to hear, but it's
Mm,
necessary to hear those things so that you can heal and you can move on and you can also live in your reality. Um, I also learned that I wasn't going to be judged. I wasn't going to be judged for anything that I had done, anything that I had said, or anything that I made a mistake about. Like I knew I was not going to be judged. It was all about what can I do again to be better, and also what tools that could I take from this session and apply it to my life in a better way to become a better person, but also to help my children as well. Because when I was going to therapy um, during my divorce, it was all about healing myself, but then also, as a mother, how can I start helping them heal because they were going to be going through some of these same emotions. And
mhm.
if I could tell anybody, therapy works, but you got to make sure that you're honest and also be as vulnerable as you can because that's the only way that you are going to heal and also get the best out of it.
Wow. So going to therapy, did the therapist give you homework and assignments or exercises? Or for those that have never been and they're thinking about it, and I hear people talk about, I went to a therapist, but
Hmm.
for someone who has never been to one, how would you describe or share some of the activities maybe that you had to do to help in walking through the process?
That's a very good question. So I'm going to be very vulnerable here. Um, One of my counselors that I had uh, with going through the divorce, I shared with her. I said, this is when we had already gotten divorced. The divorce was final, and I said, I need to tell my kids. And she looked at me and she was like, "Y'all haven't told your kids yet?" And I was like, "Well, no, because like I needed time to heal, and um, I just wasn't ready yet. We weren't ready yet to share that with our kids because we knew that it was going to take a lot of work." And so when I talk about being honest and being vulnerable, but then also facing reality, that was a really big that was a real big step in a very uncomfortable place for me to be in. Um so one of the homework assignments was she was like, you gotta go to that house and tell those kids that
Oh, wow.
first. And so I was like, okay, okay, so she held me accountable. She held me accountable and I knew like, oh gosh, when I come back next week, I gotta have this homework assignment done. And I'll be honest,
Mhm.
it didn't happen that first time. And then, I came back and I told her, well, this is the reason why it didn't happen. I want to be able to have this conversation with their dad and and she was like, it's not going to always be a perfect setting, but this is something that you're going to have to do. And I said, okay, all right. So I went back and then we finally shared with our children. And again, and it was hurtful, to them, it was hurtful to us. And so, but she held me accountable. And again, she made me live in my reality. And so, again, if your counselor is not holding you accountable and making you read books and certain tasks and completing tasks, you may want to consider getting another therapist because I need somebody to hold me accountable and to do the work that needs to be done.
Wow, that's good. So, so you had a therapist that held you accountable.
Yeah.
So, how did you find this? Because I see,
Okay.
a lot of people saying they're therapists, and How do you find the right one? Is there such a thing as I'll go to this person and it's like, no, I don't know about this one, or I think I want a female, or I want a male. So how did you determine who?
Very good question. So when I called for to get a counselor, I was very intentional and very specific about what it was, who it was that I wanted. And I was very clear. I said, I want a woman. I want the woman to be African American. I would like for this person to have a Christian background, and also want this person to have experience with working with clients who have gone through divorce. And I was very intentional about that because, again, I wanted my counselor to be able to walk me through the healing process, but then also to have experience with that. I didn't want to be the I didn't want to I didn't want it to be a trial period, or
Mhm.
just like her, like, let me try this out on you and let me figure out. So I wanted her to be able to have, I wanted that person to have experience. And I even said, like, even if the counselor has gone through a divorce, like, that would even be a plus, but I didn't have to check that off on my list.
Mhm.
I was very specific about who it was that I wanted in that season.
So did you interview the counselor? Because you're helping someone else who don't know where to start. So
Right.
did you Google therapists, or
So
how did you find the person?
I used so for many people's jobs, and I don't know if you guys know this, but the employee assistance program, EAP benefits. I used my employee assistance benefits, and what I did with that program, and mostly everybody has it on their job, but you get 6 free sessions. You get 6 free sessions for every single topic, and so I called that hotline and I told them exactly, like, who I wanted, what those characteristics should be. And then at the time they sent me a list of, okay, this is what matches what you said. And so I went through that list of people, and then I just, determined, okay, this is the person I want.
Oh,
So
that's good.
that is what I did. And so yeah.
Wow. So now that the book is out, what do, who do you want to purchase this book? Who all you went through and you got it out, because it's one thing to journal, but then and even to get published. But now that it's published and is out there, because people don't realize, especially it depends on the type of book it is,
Right.
that you're out there now.
Yeah.
You're very vulnerable now. You were transparent, so I would assume that you had already walked through your healing process,
Right.
and that you were ready for the most part for that launch. Because once it's in the hands of the people, it's different than you just journaling. So,
Right. So who is the book for? And I will tell y'all this again, just all honesty. My first my prayer is that it's for every woman, again, who's going through a divorce, who's about to go into a divorce, or who's about to go through a divorce, or a woman who has already been through a divorce but is still working on their healing journey. That was my first prayer. However, now that I've gotten a lot of great feedback about the book, and I've had a lot of different people to read the book, as the feedback that I have received is, Kamala, you know what? This book is not just about a divorce. And this is about also, like, I read the book and all I thought about was, a relationship that I had with my siblings, and how I need to get over
mm,
some things, with healing from some things that happened with us with childhood. So I've heard a lot of different perspectives of the book, and I appreciate that because, again, when I was writing it, I never thought about how it would resonate in different ways with different people. But the feedback, I appreciate the feedback because now hearing that, I know that it's not just for women. who have
Mhm.
gone through a divorce or going through a divorce or um, who are about to go through a divorce. It's not so. I would say anybody at this point, everybody should read the book. Um, and again, I wrote it with the intention of women, but men have read the book also, and they've given me a lot of great feedback. As far as the journal prompts are really good, and also, or
Mhm.
I've been on the other side and I can see how painful it was where I hurt a woman. And so I think everybody should read the book.
That's right. Everyone should get it. So, do you have one right there? You can hold up your copy
I do, I do. And so,
so
and
they can see how beautiful it is.
so going back to your question, I think sometimes when we pray for things, again, I saw it as a way for women to heal, but sometimes God will make your testimony available for everybody. Like it's not
Mhm.
for women. I'm opening this up for everyone. And so sometimes your prayers are bigger than what you see, and that's
Mhm.
what I'm seeing in this season. So this is the book.
It's a beautiful cover, and the cover looks just like her. It's God's hand is all over that book, and it is such such a beautiful book inside and out. I love it. And where can people pick up a copy?
That's a great question. And before we go to that question, just again, shout out to Minister Aisha Williams because she helped me design the cover with me sharing what I wanted to look like. And so, Minister Aisha Williams is also my beautician. And so, shout out to her. Where can you buy it? You can buy a autographed copy from me, myself. You can also purchase a copy on Amazon or also Barnes and Nobles. I will also say that soon it will be in some of the libraries and also independent bookstores. But I will keep you all updated on that when that happens.
That's good. If someone wanted to contact you, to reach out to you to purchase your book, or just maybe just to have you on their show or have you come and speak,
Yeah.
how can they reach you? What social media how can they find you?
Okay, that's a great question. So I do have a website. My website is iamcamela.org. And so that's one way to contact me. You can also contact me via email, which I'm going to give you two emails. One is my personal email, and that is Guyton, Guyton, Camela, Camela, at gmail.org. And my business email is AAA consultant group at gmail.com as well.
Well, great, great. It's been so awesome to talk to you. Of course, I love everything that you're doing. Is there anything new coming up or any public book signings where you're going to be if someone wanted to have a photo op and get their autograph copy? Anything coming up?
That's right. Yes. So I have this coming Saturday on May 30th, I'll be at Midtown 2.0 at a daytime party for a book signing, and that starts at 2 o'clock p.m. So you can also catch me there. I will be personally autographing books. The books are $25, and you'll receive a bookmark as well, some personalized bookmarks. And then also on June 7th at my church at the House of Intercession, Pastor Eric White Sr. We will be there at 10 a.m. That's when service starts, but please come and be my guest. That will also be another book signing as well. And so I would love for you to attend. Again, I will be there autographing books and, any questions that you have, or even if you're going through a similar situation, I am more than happy to talk with you about it, pray with you, guide you, and just do whatever it is that I can do to help you in that situation. Um, let's see. Do I have anything else right now? I think that's it. Yeah.
So before we close, so any last nuggets or thoughts that you want to share that maybe I didn't ask?
Um, I will just, what I will say is, you know, many times, especially in social media right now, many times when somebody hurts you, the first thing you do is you think about revenge and how you're going to get back, how you're going to level up, what you're going to do to make sure that this person feels your pain. But what I will say is that one, that's definitely not the way to go. The subtitle of the book, "The Get Back is Grace," that I wanted to make sure that that was again very intentional, because God, you cannot get anybody back. Like, allow God to take care of that. Allow God to take care of your pain. Allow Him to take care of allow Him to take care of it all, and everything will work out. And when I prayed in 2020 and I said, God, reveal what it is you need, and will reveal whatever it is that needs to be revealed. And I know you are going to take care of me and my children, and you are going to continue to provide and protect. He did just that and more. And so all I will say is that, during that storm is hard. I would be telling a lie if I would be telling a lie. But on the other side, you guys, like, there's a beautiful rainbow, there is peace, there is more happiness, more joy, and God will bless you, and He will give you back more than what you that you pray for and you have prayed for.
Mhm.
And so in this season, um, it's yeah, it's a blessing. And so that is what I will leave with y'all today.
Wow, that's awesome. That's so awesome. Just want to thank you again, Camila, for being on. I just wanted to share you with the world in this amazing journey and story, and especially the quiet power. That part about quiet, especially not yelling it, but you walk through it with grace. But you were only able to do that because you stayed in God's face. You cried out to Him instead of crying out to the girlfriends and all. They may have had their part to play, but He was the first person that you went
That's
to
right.
help you heal, because He's the only one that can anyway.
That's right. And I thank you, Apostle Gretchel, for just again um, helping me just birth this baby, as we have stated, and just being so patient with me through this entire process.
Oh, it was my pleasure, my honor and pleasure that God chose me to help you. So I want to thank all of you guys for watching, and you guys catch on the replay. We will see you again next time at Gretchel Dixon's Let's Chat. Have a great evening.